Good afternoon. Happy Friday, everyone, after what I know has been a challenging week and what seems like an endless stream of challenging weeks. I want to take a moment before I get started talking about the sort of attendance letter that I sent out yesterday, just to talk about how 2 days into this, how excited I am about the preliminary reports that I'm getting, just about virtual instruction in general, and so far about student participation in the virtual days. And I do realize that some of that is not where it's going to be, because all of this happened rather abruptly, and making those types of accommodations has probably caused students to miss over the past day or two that would not moving forward into next week. So I'm very much looking forward to that. At this point in the year, we've worked really hard to ensure that teachers are able to engage with students in the building as well as out of the building in a way that's meaningful and interactive and provides timely feedback, and the types of relationships that I think we all agree and we all know are at the heart of meeting educational outcomes. And so here, this is what we've been called to do as a school. And, with the attendance piece that I sent out last night, some part of that is us trying to continue to find ways so that we can enlist the best relationship between the school and the home in order to make these things happen. So, what I basically rolled out last night, I like to look at as a more timely way of reporting attendance to parents, particularly for those whose students are in the virtual environment and are live streaming into the classroom at this point since we've returned from Thanksgiving. And many of those parents are in situations where, for a portion of the day or the entirety of the day, they're unable to be there to supervise their children while they're working. All right. They're unable to get the information that they need during the course of the day to intervene. And often in elementary school, we don't have to worry about these things. The attendance call goes out at 11 o'clock, mostly for informational purposes. When I used to work at the high school, that attendance call went out, and that was often a harbinger that, oh my gosh, so and so skipped school today or was truant. That's not frequently possible with elementary school students. It's just not how it works. Right now, this is a time where we're seeing that it is possible. It's possible that they, sleep in and they do miss their class. So I do want to be clear, this does not remove away from families to be able to have their children attend if they can't make live sessions, right? Like you're still going to be able to attend to the instructional materials that are posted. They're still going to be able to learn. They're still going to have availability of their teachers to ask questions. But I will say that from our part, where it's possible, we really think that's where the best outcomes are going to happen. So for those who aren't able to, essentially what we're looking at is that at 10 o'clock approximately, which would be the end of that first block of period of time at Slatington Elementary, the attendance would all be in. At some point during that first block, the teacher would take attendance within the virtual environment, within the building, if the students are in the building. And then around 10 o'clock, the parents would get a phone call. And the phone call would simply say, your child at this time is accounted for as absent from school. And from that phone call and that email, those parents would be able to then reach out to their families, to their children, and they'd be able to find out what's going on. Like, is there a legitimate reason, or is it just they slept in? And hopefully get them on track for the remainder of that day. If they can't do that, and you get that phone call, and things have come up, something happened, so on and so forth, we still have the backup system. We're still going to be posting those videos at the end of the day, sort of for those like second shift learners who are doing a lot of that work in the afternoon and the evening. And we are also still going to have an attendance form, and that will go out in those emails for the attendance calls. And it is also posted here in this newsletter, so you can take a look at it. And really, it's going to have three questions. And the questions are pretty simple ones, but I think they're really meaningful ones, and they're ones that help us get an idea of whether or not they attended. And I'm hoping actually also help our families continue to engage with their students as learners. So the first one is, what would I tell my family I learned in ELA class today? And I would think you might be able to guess the next two then. What would I tell my family I learned in math class today? And what would I tell my family I learned in science or social studies class today, depending on which one they're taking in this current quarter? Really, I'm looking for a sentence, two sentences there. And so the nice thing about this is, okay, so let's say your child missed the live stream, but they go through their classes, they complete all their attendance assignments, all their work through their classes, so on and so forth. But for the office, we want to make sure that we update that record of whether or not they made that live stream session, right? And so we're going to get that. But then also, I'm going to set that Google form so that it automatically sends the responses and a receipt back to the email of the person who filled it out. So it'll collect that email from that student. It'll then take their responses. It'll then send a receipt back and the responses. So then that student can go in and they can have an email there that says, yes, this is evidence I attended on Tuesday, right? For you as a parent, you can also ask your child to just open up their email and you can look in and you can see there's an email in there that says, yes, they attended. Now, those responses should be meaningful and should be related to their coursework. And both you and I, probably at about the same time, are going to see whether or not that's the case. And I feel like that offers an extra piece for you too, where yes, maybe every night you don't have the chance to go in and look at all your child's assignments and go over everything that they've done throughout the course of the day. But you're going to have a quick indicator when you get home and you look at that email or when your child fills out that email as to whether or not today's a day maybe you should, right? Like, is today a day when it doesn't seem like they did what they were supposed to do? And is today a day where they didn't attend, right? They didn't do their schoolwork. And so my hope there is, okay, so at 10 o'clock you get some sort of indication, you have something else, and then you have an email that lets you know. And I'm hoping that every parent at Slatington Elementary School at the end of the night has a way to lay their head on their pillow and rest at ease that they know whether or not their child attended school and at least have some idea of sort of what happened in that day. So I do want to say one more time because I've had a lot of questions asked about this. So we as a district are trying to create flexibility here. And so I've had some people question, is this mandatory? We've had students question, is this mandatory? And, I've even had some people who are like not happy when, if I'm asked that question directly, I can't say anything but no. I mean, no is the only truthful answer. And I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to lie to your children. In order to create flexibility, we couldn't make it mandatory. We wanted to create a system where, as people are going through, unthought of hardships right now, that we're not creating a system that doesn't allow for the flexibility for them to maybe not be able to do that during the day because of caretaker situations or work or schedule related situations. We still wanted to have meaningful learning and the opportunity for attendance for every child that comes through our door. Um, for you, though, I mean, as an individual, and I mean, for me as a parent, for my children, it is mandatory. They are absolutely required to attend their classes as they occur, and both my daughters are attending school virtually. And I would really encourage that. I mean, we've given the head of households, the respect to know that what's best for your household. You know how best to navigate the options that we can, sort of create here. But I also would say the same respect of, you have the ability to establish what constitutes mandatory in your house. So I do encourage you, and we will absolutely support you in the statement that for your child, it is mandatory, that they do not have any of these circumstances that preclude them from being able to attend those live sessions. And we can happily work with any families on incentive and support structures, on establishing schedules and things like that. It's not always easy. And I know being remote, it's not easy. I get those attendance calls sometimes at 10 o'clock in the morning, that my daughter did not do something that was related to her attendance at school and have to follow up. So I know that there's a challenge and a difficulty here. We're simply trying to create all the tools that allow you to have the power that you need in order to feel confident in what you're saying in regards to that. So the attendance call again, 10 a.m. All right, you'll get a call. We have said that if you know that your child's never going to be there and that call's a nuisance, we will do everything that we can. If you contact us, to not have that call go and mark them differently so that it doesn't go to you. Please understand that, sort of like in Apollo 13, the quote, don't tell me what it was built to do, tell me what it can do. PowerSchool, Blackboard Connect, none of these things were meant to do this way. We're sort of repurposing them in in ways that is likely to end up leading to those mistaken phone calls going through. So please be patient with us about that. We will make every effort to try and pull them off daily so that you're not getting a call when you already know your child's not going to be attending that session. They will still need to complete the attendance form, of course, if they don't attend that. But I think that for those of you who are going to now have the power to be able to engage with your child at 10 a.m. and make sure that they're in the rest of their classes, I think even them having to do that extra work is A, reasonable, but B, also does not change the fact that it's good for them to get into the rest of their classes for the day. So I really do hope that this ends up signifying for all of you an improvement in our ability to communicate things with you and another tool for us to be able to really successfully work together in order to provide the best structure we can in order to make students successful. I really do. I thank you. I thank the teachers. I thank everyone for the work that they've done and continue to do to sort of reshape so many of the things that we've done in the past in order to help student learning. And honestly, at the end of the day, I very much look forward to the relationship that we have forged as a broad school community in the crucible of these times. So thank you very much. And again, have a great weekend.